Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here. I was writing the 2-game NBA main slate on Monday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports, daily fantasy sports slates. Before I get into the breakdown, I want to say thank you guys again for all support. Currently, right now, at 4.54 thousand subscribers. The easiest way to support me, since all the content is free, is leave a like button on the video and hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell just so you know when I upload videos, know when I go live. I will be live streaming for this 2-game slate 30 minutes before lock on my YouTube channel, so be sure to check out the live stream. Also, if you guys cannot watch the videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. The link is in the description below, which is the DK DFS show. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the videos. Before we get into the breakdown here for this 2-game slate, let's take a look at my lineup here from Sunday. Sunday, I told you guys in the live stream I was going super risky, super suboptimal. I was taking shots on guys I probably shouldn't, and didn't really work out for me. So let's look at my lineup. So you can see 2 guys in there with Wanamaker and Yang. I told you guys, like, this is absolutely disgusting, but I was set on my Mavs Clippers stack. I was getting Luka in there, and I wanted to go with the lower-owned Clippers guys. So I want Paul George, Lou Williams. Didn't work out for me. Kawhi Leonard absolutely took over. He's been consistent. What I was hoping for with this build was, maybe a subpar game from Kawhi where Lou and Paul George stepped up. Now, the minutes on Lou Williams, Doc Rivers, for DFS, is a terrible coach. You just cannot trust his rotations at all for DFS. In real life, he's a good coach. Right? But I'm just talking about DFS and his rotations. Lou Williams playing 7. I know he shot the ball bad, but 17 minutes. 17. You cannot trust right now these secondary, besides Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, everyone else, and Marcus Morris, even though he got ejected, everyone else is way up in the air. Shamet, 20 minutes, and he played almost 40 minutes this game. You would figure with Marcus Morris getting ejected, I'm like, oh yeah, I get good luck. Lou Williams is going to play more. Nope, he plays 17 minutes. So, sure, was Lou Williams a suboptimal play at 6'4"? Of course he was. But I told you guys I'm taking shots. I'm playing a riskier lineup. The chalkier plays don't always work out. They're looking like they did today. I gave you guys, though, my cash game core, which was Kemba Walker, Fred VanVleet, Kawhi Leonard, and Daniel Tice. If you played that, if you played the safer route, you're in really good shape. Tice was, the safe value play I mentioned. He was high owned. It was for a good reason because there wasn't a lot of standout value, but he did kind of have his ceiling game when he was chalk when I didn't have him, which was a little bit tilting. Right, I think he went for 15 and 13 and 2 steals and a block in 25 minutes. That is 100% the ceiling there for Daniel Tice. But yeah, the rest of my lineup, I wanted to get Jamal Murray in there. Don't really know what his ownership's going to be like. I think it'll be still somewhat high after those big games and back-to-back games, but that's really the luck back in my lineup. Really, I went with the game stack there, and I was hoping for a subpar game for Kawhi where Lou Williams and Paul George step up. They did not, so no regrets there. I told you guys the direction I was going super contrarian. Doesn't always work out, right? It worked out for me last night where I 4x my money and had AD at 7% owned, Nurkic 8%, right? Today, didn't work out. But I was willing to take that shot, so no regrets at all. Let's talk about the 2-game slate here. Heat, Bucks, it's a 223 over-under. Bucks are 6-point favorites. Rockets, Thunder, it's a 226 over-under. Rockets are 5.5-point favorites. So on a 2-game slate, I'm just going to be talking mostly in a GPP mindset because, in my opinion, you should not be playing cash games on a 2-game slate. It's just not worth it. So I'll be talking most of this video in regards to GPPs and tournaments. So Bam Adebayo's at 7-7. This is a trickier one because they need his defense out there to guard Giannis. He will be on Giannis a good amount this game. The issue, obviously, is the foul trouble concerns. Now, Miami has kind of been the thorn in Milwaukee's side. They have been really good against them this year. 2 teams that are pretty good defensively, even though Milwaukee plays at a faster pace. They're pretty solid defensively. So Yeah, Bam's a tricky one. I like the price point on him. 7-7, it just feels a little bit too cheap. And maybe, like, because they need his defense to guard Giannis, maybe they extend his minutes a bit. Like, maybe he plays 35 to 40 instead of the 32 to 35-ish he was in the Indiana series. Like, I think they need him out there a bit more. So, I do like Bam. I like his price a good amount. My one concern is I think there is some foul trouble concerns going up against a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Steven Adams at 5'8". I like him as a safe option. In 25 minutes in a blowout, he went for 31 fancy points. He had a double-double in the blowout. Like he was going to play about 30 minutes in that game. Again, whenever he is out on the court, it's a mismatch. Like whether it be Tucker or Covington or Jeff Green, whoever they try to throw on him, Steven Adams has a huge advantage. So I'd like him as a safe play here, 5'8". He is a guy that probably gets, I would say his floor is like 20, 25-ish with upside for 35 plus. So right now, at his price on this slate, I think he stands out as a safe option. I do like some Steven Adams today. Jeff Green's at 5'4". It's a trickier one. I probably prefer Steven Adams. Like he's still playing good minutes. The game did blow out. I should have checked to see if he played in the blowout. Let me actually confirm that really quick. So I'm curious to see. Let's see. Let's go to the fourth quarter. It's funny that Harden came back into the game when they're up 26. Yes, he was still in the game, but it didn't really matter. I mean, still, most of the starters were in there. It's like 4 minutes left. So yeah, Green's a guy that I'm okay with, but I just like the upside a bit more on Steven Adams. Like, he's got to knock down his threes. He's been shooting the ball well. Did, I guess, not great last game, 3 of 11, but he's one of those guys, if you land on it, it's okay, but again, I'm not going to go out of my way to play Jeff Green in the slate. Kind of the same with BROOK Lopez at 5'3". He's a scoring-dependent center. Did pick up 7 rebounds the last game. That's honestly a little bit more of an outlier for him. Can he still get you there at 5'3"? Yeah, he'll play around 30 minutes. If he's knocking down his threes, he can go for 35-plus fancy points. We saw 40-plus a couple times already in the bubble earlier on, so not saying BROOK Lopez is out of play. I would probably rather get to him over Jeff Green, but with those two, I think I still give the edge to Steven Adams over those two. And then we get to the value at center. So Tucker's at 4'3". He was actually having a decent game before he got ejected. I guess probably Jeff Green played a little bit more because of P.J. Tucker getting ejected. So I guess maybe expect Jeff Green to lose a few minutes there. Tucker's a guy that will play 35 to 40 minutes. Super, super low usage. He's a stand-in-the-corner guy. But if he hits a few threes, he can get you there at 4'3". So I have some interest in him as a value option. Kelly Olynyk is 3'9". He's a good point per minute guy. The issue is just the minutes right now. He's not playing a lot of minutes. So I wouldn't completely rule him out. Like, the way I see Kelly Olynyk smashing his price is if Bam Adebayo gets in foul trouble, which is not out of the realm of possibilities, right? If he's going up against, he's going to be guarding Giannis a lot. Like, there's a chance he could get some foul trouble. If that's the case, Kelly Olynyk is the direct beneficiary. So, like, there is a way where Kelly Olynyk goes for 20-plus minutes, and that is if Bam gets in some big foul trouble. But other than that, it's a pretty risky play because I think in normal circumstances he gets somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes. Bazley's at 3'8". I would not chase this game. Just don't do it. Most of that production was in garbage time in those minutes. So sure, people are going to look at that 30 fantasy point game and they're just going to plug them in. See it time and time again with guys after big games. Unless this game blows out, Bazley's only going to play like 15-ish minutes. So I'm not going to go to Bazley. I'll let others chase that. Noel's at 3'3". It's just a dart throw. Like, he'll play about 15 minutes. He's a good point per minute guy. I mean, went for 15 fancy points in 13 minutes the last game. So at almost min price, it's a really, really risky play, but he's not out of play on a 2-game slate. Someone you can at least consider. that's it for me. So let's talk about power forward. Giannis is at 11-4. So the big question on this slate, obviously, is what are we going to do with Giannis? Well, the last series we always had to deal with, is he going to play his full complement of minutes because the blowout risk? We don't have to worry about that. He's going to play his full minutes in this series. Like, I don't see Milwaukee blowing out Miami. I think the only way he does lose some minutes is if he gets in foul trouble like he did that last game against Orlando. And that when he did, it was Middleton that got the big boost. So I think we get 32 to 35 minutes from Giannis Antetokounmpo. Still, like, Milwaukee still runs a lot of man rotation in the playoffs, which is just, it's mind-blowing that they're doing that. But that's just the way they're going about things. So it's a tricky one because I know the minutes will be there, but the matchup's not great. Like, Miami is good defensively. So I think he is, of all the stars on this slate, like, with him and Harden, probably Giannis is a bit safer. I think he has a little bit of a higher floor. So, yeah, it's a close one of those two. I think if I was if you made me pick between Giannis and Harden as the studs on the slate for cash games, if you're playing for the safety cash games, I think it would be Giannis. But both are pretty close in GPPs for me. Gallo's at 6K. He's an interesting contrarian play after back-to-back terrible games. 2 games ago, only went for 14 fantasy points. The last game, he was 0 of 5, and the game blew out. So no one's going to play Danilo Gallinari. Absolutely no one. He's still a guy that can go for 35 plus, but things have to go right for him. Right? He has to hit shots. I don't know if the upside is there on me to take a shot. Like, I know the ownership will be super, super low, but is it even worth it? Like, is the upside there in Gallo? I think on a really good day he can go for 40, but I don't know, right? So I don't even know if I go there for the ownership factor. House is a guy I'll stay away from. With Westbrook back, came off the bench, played 28 minutes. The minutes went way down on him. Not enough for me to consider him if I want. Like, he's going to play 25, and he played a bit in the blowout there too. If he's only going to play 20 to 25 minutes, there's just no way I'm paying 5-1 for Danuel House. Now, Crowder's in play here at 4-5. He's a guy that we kind of know what we're getting out of Jay Crowder, right? Not a guy that's going to break the slate. He's going to play around 25 minutes. He probably gets somewhere between 20 to 30 fancy points, somewhere in that range. Like, if he hits the higher end, he's a pretty good play. The lower end, maybe not as much, but I think what you're getting out of Crowder is a good, safe play. I don't think he's going to really kill you. I don't think he's going to put up like 5 fancy points and completely destroy you, but I don't think he's going to go out and win you a GPP tournament. What I do think is, if you plug him in there for safety, you can have other guys in your lineup and obviously, have that upside to win you a GPP. So Crowder's a guy that I think is safe option there, 4-5. Marvin Williams, I just don't trust the Milwaukee secondary plays at all. Did play 22 minutes the last game. If he gets 22 again, then you could look to him, but that was partly due to Giannis foul trouble, so I'm just not going to go to Marvin Williams at 3-3. Jones Jr., not enough minutes either. He'll probably play, but maybe 10-ish minutes. Again, not enough for me to consider him on the slate. So let's talk about small forward. Jimmy Butler's at 8-1. This is interesting because I think he goes low owned. He was dealing with a shoulder injury. He missed most of that last game. People are just, you see it every time, right? After a guy gets injured or is a little bit hobbled. With Lowry and Fred VanVleet, I mentioned it today. Lowry was going to be way lower owned. Lowry was 5%. Fred VanVleet was 25%. They were basically these same plays. Anthony Davis, the last game, right? He was 7% owned after dealing with some back spasms, but didn't worry me. Does this shoulder injury worry me with Jimmy Butler? Slightly, but the ownership's going to drop in him. So I like that in GPPs. And with Jimmy Butler, he's going to play 38 minutes as long as he doesn't aggravate his shoulder, as long as he doesn't get in foul trouble. So 8.1K, I like him. I think he goes low owned for the reason that I just mentioned. I just don't think people are going to be worried about the shoulder injury. Again, does it worry me? Slightly, but it's on a 2-game slate. I'm willing to take the risk. So I like Jimmy. I think he goes a bit low owned. Middleton at 7-9. So if I'm not going to play Giannis in the slate, I think you're going to want to play Middleton. Because you saw it that last game. When Giannis got in foul trouble, it was Middleton that exploded in that time when Giannis was out. So it makes sense if you're playing if you're going to play a Milwaukee star and you can't get to Giannis, I think it makes sense to get to Middleton in the mid-range. Obviously, he doesn't have the upside as a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo, but he's a guy that can go for 40 to 50 plus fantasy points. He's been shooting the ball better last 3 games, 7 of 17, 7 of 19, 7 of 16. Not terrible, but the beginning of the season, the beginning of the series, he was really bad. 4 of 12, 1 of 8. So, yeah, the range of outcomes with Middleton is a little bit higher, right? He has a floor, somewhat low floor, probably 25-ish, I would say, fantasy points. Ceiling about 50 or so. So I think if you can't get to Giannis, I'm fine with Middleton in the mid-range at 7-9. Eric Gordon's at 6-1. I think he's viable. He is now the number 3 with Westbrook playing and healthy. So it's a tricky one. We'll get about 30 minutes from Eric Gordon. I think if he's a last piece in your lineup, that's okay. But my worry with Eric Gordon, we haven't really seen it yet, is the floor is pretty low on him. And you're not getting him at a discount. Like, most of the season, we were getting Eric Gordon at like 4K, 4.5K. He's 6K. Now, sure, right? It's slightly different circumstances, the playoffs. But the floor on Eric Gordon is pretty low. We have not seen it yet. Maybe this is a game where we would get like the 10 fantasy point game from Eric Gordon. So it's the risk. If you landed him at 6K, I don't think it's the worst play. But again, I'm not going to start my lineup with Eric Gordon. Mentioned Gallinari already. Covington at 5'8". Again, maybe got a slight boost with a PJ Tucker ejection. He just shot the ball really well. He shot 8 of 14, 6 of 11 from 3. If he's going to shoot that well, obviously he's going to put up a big fantasy point game. So what's going to happen here is the ownership is going to go way up in Robert Covington this slate. It just is. Do I think that's a mistake? It's one of those, I'm indifferent about it. He'll probably play 30-ish minutes. He's a guy that, again, he needs to hit his threes to get you those ups. He needs to nail his threes. He did that last game. He also needs a game where he has like a couple blocks, a couple steals. He had 3 steals. So are we going to get 3 steals and a 6 of 11 from 3-point, again, from Robert Covington? Probably not. But for the guys around him, like Robert Covington and Gallinari, I mean, right now, I think Covington probably is the slightly better play with Covington and Eric Gordon. It's a tricky one. Probably Covington has a slightly higher floor, right? So, yeah, I'm okay if you get to Covington. House, again, I'm going to pass on at 5-1. Duncan Robinson's at 4-9. I just wish he was cheaper because he's just, the minutes, he's not going to play the 35 or so minutes like he was in the regular season. He's going to play 25 minutes. Now, can he get you there in 25? Yes, but he has to hit his threes. He is literally super, super scoring dependent. So the floor is extremely low on Duncan. It's the floor of about 10 fantasy points. The upside of about probably 35 or so. It's interesting because Miami was playing from ahead basically in every single game in that series against the Pacers. I wonder if they fall behind here against Milwaukee, do they throw Duncan Robinson out there? I think it's possible, right? So if they're trailing, does Duncan maybe push for 30 minutes? Right, so I think that that's something you got to have in your back of your mind. If he gets closer to 30 minutes, then he looks a little bit better. But right now, he's just strictly a GPP play due to him being so scoring dependent. Lou Dort shot the ball absolutely terrible. 3 of 16 for 6 fantasy points. Yeah, he has a low floor. He is not out there for his offense. I'm surprised he shot the ball 16 times. I don't think he goes out for 6 again. Again, the blowout kind of hurt too. He's gonna play the minutes to guard Harden and Westbrook. At 4-1, he's the guy that can get. I think his ceiling is about 20 to 25. So, but the floor is low. I think I would feel more comfortable getting to a guy like Jay Crowder for $400 more. I would feel much more comfortable going Jay Crowder over a guy like Lou Dort. Connaughton's at 3-8. He'll play 15 to 20 minutes. It's a viable punt. We do have Bledsoe status up in the air. That could change some things. If Bledsoe's out and George Hill starts, George Hill become really good value play. Obviously, probably the top value play. And then Connaughton probably picks up a few more minutes. And then maybe they insert a guy like Frank Mason in the rotation. Who knows? So if Bledsoe plays, I'm probably just not even going to consider Connaughton. Iguodala's at 3-5. Now, he got you there that last game, but he had 4 steals and a block. We're probably not going to get that again from Iguodala. So the floor is low on him. He is out there strictly for his defense, even though he's not that good of a defender right now in his older age. it's. I mean, if you're getting to guys like Giannis and those stars at the top, you have to probably take a shot on someone like Iguodala, but the floor is really, really low on him. I think he's in play for the reason of he's going to play like 25 minutes, but he can literally go out there and get you 10 fantasy points in 25 minutes. I'm not going to get to Korver. I guess he's a dart throw, but he's going to play 15-ish minutes. He literally has to hit his threes. If not, the floor is like 5 fantasy points on him. I'm not going to get to McLemore. Not enough minutes, obviously, there. And that's it. So let's talk about shooting guard. Harden's at 11-3. So the question on this slate is, do you go Harden? Do you go Giannis Antetokounmpo? Well, Harden is probably in the slightly better matchup, even though OKC is not like an amazing matchup, but better than Miami, who's good defensively. So it's a tricky one. Harden has also shot the ball better. He shot the ball really well the last game, 11 of 15. Yeah, it's a really close one. I think Giannis will be higher owned, but I think, it's really close. With Westbrook back, that obviously takes a slight hit to a guy like Harden, but if he's shooting the ball well, he can still go for 60-plus easily with Westbrook playing. Mentioned Jimmy Butler, the OKC guys. So what we're going to see in the OKC guards for this slate, the ownership is going to drop. It just is. SGA was the ultimate chalk the last game, and he completely busted. When has SGA ever come through in chalk? I literally think it's zero. I don't think he's ever come through when he's been chalk. The previous 3 games, though, look at those previous 3 games. 37 minutes, 44.5 fantasy points. 48 minutes, 51 fantasy points. 44 minutes, 44 fantasy points. And then he comes out when he's chalk and goes for 34 minutes and 11 fantasy points. Super, super tilting, but what you're going to get is low ownership on SGA, or a lot lower than the 60% in the $100 tournament like he was last slate. So I like buying low on guys after bad games. You guys don't have to. I know a lot of people said this is the last time I'm playing SGA. That's fine. That's completely fine with me. But we see it every time. What was it? Denver, a few slates ago, after they got blown out in back-to-back games, you had Jamal Murray at like 6.5K at 25% owned, and Jokic at like 30% owned. People just look at those most recent games, and it really affects the ownership. So I'm fine buying back into SGA. The floor is somewhat low. I don't think OKC gets blown out here. This is a must-win game, right? It's Game 6. They have to win this game to push it to 7. So I'm fine going right back to SGA. I think he's going to play 44 or so minutes in this one, as long as he doesn't get in foul trouble. So yeah, I don't mind going right back to the wall with SGA. The ownership will drop. Schroeder was on pace to crush that last game and then got ejected. He's the riskier option off the bench because he won't play as many minutes. He'll play about 32 minutes, whereas SGA will play over 40. Chris Paul will play about high 30s. Schroeder, low 30s. So he's the riskiest for that reason, but he's also the cheapest. Again, I don't think OKC gets blown out. So I like the guards here because I think the ownership drops in all 3 of them this slate. Tyler Hero's at 5.5. He'll play around 30 minutes. He's a guy that's going to come off he's not afraid to shoot the ball, which I like. And he can get you some rebounds. He can get you some assists. I have some interest in him in the mid-range. I think he's a good play. I don't think he's going to kill you. And if we continue to get 30-ish minutes from Tyler Hero at 5.5, I think he makes for a pretty good option in the mid-range. Like, I definitely prefer Hero to Duncan Robinson. 100%. The minutes are higher on Hero. He does more than just score the ball, so would 100% prefer Tyler Hero to Duncan Robinson. Kendrick Nunn's not going to be in the rotation. Do not play him. Wes Matthews at 3.7. I just have to mention him because it's a 2-game slate. He'll play 20-ish minutes I'd say once every 8 games. He has a game where he can get 20 fantasy points, but he literally has to hit his threes, so I'm not going to do it. Not going to go to Rivers, not enough minutes. Again, Iguodala is viable just because he'll play 25-ish minutes. DiVincenzo's at 3.4. I think I only look to him if, and that's if, Bledsoe's out. All right, so let's talk about point guard. Mentioned Harden. Westbrook's at 9.7. They limited him to, 25 to 28 minutes. He's going to be super, super low owned. If he's on a minutes limit again, he will be like 5% owned. Am I going to go to Westbrook in this slate? Probably not. unless there's no minutes. If there's no minutes restriction at all, then I could see going to Westbrook. Again, revenge spot 2 against OKC. So we'll see if he's going to be on a minutes limit. CP3, again, I like all 3 OKC guards just because the ownership's going to drop with them. They got completely blown out the last game, no doubt about it. I don't see them getting blown out again. Must-win game. I think Chris Paul is going to want to come out and put on a show here. He is the upside to go for a triple-double. So I like all 3 OKC guards on the slate a good amount. Dragic's at 6'6". Seems priced about right. The good thing with GORAN Dragic is we're going to get like 35 minutes from GORAN Dragic. In the regular season, we're getting 25 minutes off the bench. So this is not the same GORAN Dragic. I know I've said that a couple times here, but I want to reiterate that. Like, this is not the same GORAN Dragic as the one in the regular season. So sure, the price is way up, but he's also, the minutes are way up. And he's a guy that is a good scorer and can get you like 6, 7 assists and can get you some rebounds. Like, he is a do-it-all guy. 6.6K, I think he looks pretty good in the mid-range. I don't think a lot of people get to him. So I kind of like him for that reason. I think he goes lower owned. If you're a guy that's worried about the Jimmy Butler shoulder injury, then maybe you go to a guy like Dragic and you want Miami exposure. Because Dragic is a guy that if like Jimmy aggravates his shoulder, Dragic's going to be the biggest beneficiary. Like, the minutes will still be there, but he'll get a bigger boost usage-wise. Like, the offense would run through GORAN Dragic. Bledsoe. So right now, this is the injury news we're waiting for. He's questionable. Pretty big news. If he plays at 5'9", fine with it. If he misses, there could be some value here. George Hill would assume he would start, but you never know. And then they're already running like an 11-man rotation, so maybe they throw a guy like Frank Mason into the rotation. I mean, you saw it in the regular season. When he gets minutes, he's a good point-per-minute guy. But that is just a literally dart throw. Like, if Bledsoe gets ruled out, there would still be a decent chance that he wouldn't even play. And I mentioned that today with a guy like Cantor, right? I told you guys, there's an outside chance he won't play because Brad Stevens hates Cantor. And what happened? Cantor got a DNP. They went with Robert Williams. So, yeah, that's a complete shot in the dark if you go there. It's like a 1 in 150 type play. Mentioned Schroeder. Again, George Hill would become the chalk. He would become the absolute chalk if Bledsoe's out. Would I play George Hill at 4-2 if Bledsoe's out? I'd probably eat the chalk. Not assuming he starts. Even if he comes out the bench, I still think he would get 25-ish minutes and would just have to do a little bit more. So either way, George Hill would probably be your top value play of the day if Bledsoe's not available. And that's really it, guys. So 2 games. It's a slate that I wouldn't recommend playing cash games on, only GPPs. And you can definitely play chalk, but try to get different, right? If you're entering that big tournament and you want to win first place alone, you're going to have to do something really unique. Take a shot on like a sub 5% owned guy, or leave salary on the table. If you want to take that first solo, you're going to have to do something really, really unique. Like, leave $1,000 on the table. Leave $1,500 on the table, right? So, but yeah, that's going to wrap it up. Again, I will be live streaming 30 minutes before lock, so be sure to check out the live stream. But thanks again, guys. I hope you guys all have a good day, and I will see you all tomorrow in the live stream.